Hi, I want to share a simple exercise that you can do that will help you to connect with your loved ones on the other side. We often assume that connecting with the other side, those on the other side, should be a certain way. We should see them clearly. We should be able to communicate in this kind of way that we do in the physical world, this back and forth conversation and kind of pick it up like you're doing right now with me, which is through hearing me and having thoughts and being able to kind of quickly understand what I'm expressing. However, the other side is not going to communicate necessarily in the what we're used to with them. Even with someone that we have known for a very long time, when they pass over, we may assume without even realizing it that the conversation we have with them, the back and forth, will be somewhat similar to what it was in the physical world. Now, we know it won't be exactly alike, but it may take on some of the different types of ways that they communicated. For instance, if someone was very emotional, we would maybe assume that they would express themselves emotionally. Or if somebody was more kind of monotone and kind of thought out with what they say, we might assume that they will communicate with us in that way. However, they may not. Now they may, that's a possibility. An emotional person here might express themselves more emotionally, but it's not a given. So I ask you to um, stay open to what you do receive without judging and without, kind of getting into this doubt and I'm not really getting anything. The big thing being, I'm making this up. If you have that thought, that feeling, let it go as much as possible. Say something to yourself like, if I am making this up, then I'm going to just allow my loved one to come through what I'm making up. So here's the little exercise. And again, practice this. Don't get into an expectation of how it should be. And this is Olive. And continue to work with it. The more you work with it, the clearer, the stronger it will become. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to get something to write with, a pen, pencil, crayon, whatever you'd like, and some paper, and write down a very short, simple sentence that says something like, you can begin with this. What do you think about blank? And you fill in the blank. This could be, what do you think about my job? What do you think about my finances? What do you think about our son? But keep it short, keep it simple, keep it to one topic, and keep it open-ended. You don't want to ask something like a yes or no. You want to ask something that will elicit more energy from your loved one. So you're going to write that down. Just again, what do you think about blank? And you might want to take a minute or two to think about what they might reply, what you assume, what you think they might think, and write that down. The purpose of writing that down is so that you will have a clearer sense, perhaps, if what you're receiving is your idea or your thought or what you're wanting them to communicate back to you. It'll kind of get it out of your head. And when you write it down, it'll kind of clear more space for you. And that's what we want to do. We want to clear that inner space. So write down kind of just, well, I think they'd say this, or I think that they might think this about that. Um, and then after you write that down, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, relax, kind of take as long as you need to kind of just breathe, exhale, release any stress and tension, come into an inner calmer place, and then just listen. Just listen. You don't have to, you know, keep asking them and asking them. You can project that idea, that thought to them, or you can just, imagine you're sending them the message, what do you think about blank? And then be open to what you receive. What you receive may come in a lot of different forms. It may come in as a thought, a clear thought. It may come in as kind of, it might like kind of plop in there like a lot of thoughts, like your loved one might be um, giving you a lot of energy. And instead of it coming in like we communicate, which is one idea at a time, it might kind of feel like, oh gosh, that's a lot of information there. If that happens, just kind of take in what you can take in, keep breathing, relax. Maybe you feel like you don't receive anything. Maybe it feels blank and there's nothing there. If that happens, let it go. Let it go and move on. A lot of times when you don't receive anything, that's an indication that there's a part of you that's resisting. Now, obviously, it might not be a conscious part of you. It might be an unconscious part of you that's feeling, oh, I'm not good at this. What if they don't come in? It's going to be wrapped up in some of the stress and worries that you have. And so let it go. Don't try to push through it too much, because you'll only kind of like, um, just keep going around in your head. Let it go until and, maybe try again, a little later in the day or the next day. But keep persisting with it. Eventually, you will allow that channel to open up. Whatever you receive, don't ask them questions about it. Don't try to have a back and forth, and just receive it. Just get into a receptive mode, which means not thinking about it, not trying to figure everything out, not wanting to say, well, but what about that? Kind of, because that's going to get you into your head. You want to stay out of your head. You want to stay in that receptive, intuitive mode. And then when it feels the energy of subsiding some, take a breath, thank your loved one for their input, and then let it go and write down as best as you received it, what you receive. Now, this kind of practice is something you can do over and over. And the more often you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And the more you'll be able to kind of recognize when you're interfering. The confidence will grow in your ability to receive and to clearly, kind of send that request out to them and to interpret, to kind of understand better what you are receiving. But at first, just kind of do as best you can, go with the flow of the energy in this, breathe, and it will get stronger. Now, one other thing is that another good question to ask is to ask, what do you feel about this? Because when you're asking, what do you feel, as opposed to what do you think, you will receive more feeling level. So that's another question. What do you feel about blank? And then maybe write down what you assume, what you think, what you might guess a loved one would be feeling about something. And the feeling can be an emotion. It can be joy. It can be hesitation. There's all kinds of feelings that can come up. Feeling is also a word that might take us to our heart and to our loved one's heart too. There might be an outpouring of love, of healing, of comfort, of peace, those kind of feelings that are really strong when we communicate with the other side, because that's the energy, those higher emotional states of joy, love, peace are what they're immersed in the other side. So it can be an actual feeling like that, or it can also be, I feel something is true, or I feel, sometimes our feeling level is, I have a feeling this might happen, or I have a feeling that that's not going to work out. So keep in mind when you ask, what do you feel? It could come in that way too. Um, Again, keep it simple, one thing at a time, one feeling at a time, or a quest for how they feel, and get into that receptive mode. Receive as best you can any of what they're expressing to you in that emotional way. And again, that's another reason a good reason to write down what you might think or feel they're going to feel, or guess at what will they probably feel this about that, is because it's going to clear that inner space for you emotionally to receive. When we're full of our own emotions about things, our own thoughts, our kind of projecting that out there, the channel is less clear. And then write down what you receive, give it space. Don't try to figure it all out right away. Give it some space to kind of expand, reveal itself. And again, keep practicing this. It will become pretty automatic, and you'll find that you can have a really pretty good, um, you know, a connection with your loved one on the other side that can be quite helpful. Um, Not just helpful, but really sustaining, comforting, rewarding in so many different ways. All right, let's say goodbye. Goodbye.